In the silence of the trophy room, where the echoes of past conquests resonate, we discover how to lead as men. It is not solely about the trophies we proudly display, but the courage to learn from defeats, humbly lead, and forge a legacy worth more than any physical accolade. Together, we'll discover how to lead from the trophy room.
Welcome to Leading from the Trophy Room. This is our first episode, episode number 1. I'm your co-host, Beau Mills.
And I'm your co-host, Jeremy White.
Jer-
Beau, this is going to be good. I'm excited.
This is going to be good. I had it laid on my heart to do a podcast that could speak to men, reach men. That's my job here at Stonewater Church. I'm the men's ministry pastor here. And I said, hey, what's an avenue that guys listen to in their truck on their way to work? And I find myself listening to podcasts. So I said, why don't we create one? You know, I've had some great talks with you over the years. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years now. And I just wanted to take all those conversations we've had and get them out there for other men that don't get to have those conversations.
Yeah, Beau, I'm looking forward to this because it's going to allow us to talk to real men about real stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about parenting. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about marriage. We're just going to talk about life. So we're not just talking. We're going to laugh. We're going to, it's going to be real, but you've kind of talked me into this. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm trusting you,
That's
buddy.
Right.
All right. So what can the guys expect from us?
Yeah. So it's called Leading from the Trophy Room. For you that don't know, here at the Granbury, Texas campus, we're at Stonewater Church, and we're in this upper room, and we call it the Trophy Room. And so I think we just said, hey, we're going to record in there. Why don't we call it Leading from the Trophy Room? Then I got to think about it, and I feel like as men, we lead from a place of either past experiences or some idols in our life, some trophies we have in our life. Those trophies could look like pride, some addictions. Your wife could be a trophy in your life.
Yeah. So I tell my wife often she's my trophy wife.
Right.
Actually, she says that herself.
Yeah. And so I think things in men's life can shape the way we react, the way we lead people around us. And so it just kind of fit that, hey, we're leading from the trophy room. What are the trophies in your life? And maybe through this podcast, we could realign the trophies in some men's life.
So Beau, I like to think of trophies kind of in two ways. There's the good trophies and then the bad trophies. So the bad trophies are what I call idols in my life. And I've got a house full of idols that it's like God reveals a new idol and I'd made it a trophy. Maybe it's a trophy of seeking approval of men, seeking approval of others. And that's a trophy. And
so
that's a bad trophy.
I've got a bass boat. I just had a brand new bow build. Like, are those, I mean, is that what we're talking about here?
It could be if that trophy, if that thing is taking your worship, taking your attention away from God, then it's probably a bad trophy. We call that an idol. All right. But there are other trophies that we need to have. And these are trophies in heaven. Bible talks about having treasure in heaven, and it's trophies that we send along. So those are like relationships that we pour into. Those are kingdom focused.
What do you mean send along? Like that's
send along to heaven. Like send it on. So
like in the mail.
Yeah. So picture like we really are. So we're storing up treasures in heaven, storing up trophies in heaven.
So I know that. Like I know I read that, and I know that's a church term. Like what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yep. So think about the dude in your life that you brought to man camp.
Yep.
And his life got radically changed. Okay, that's a trophy. Think about the baseball team that you coach and how you're pouring into those young men and their lives are going to be changed. That's a trophy. Think about your relationship with your wife and how that's grown over the years. That's a trophy. Like those are good works that God has worked through you to do in others. Those are like trophies in heaven. So here's what's going to happen. One day we're going to get to heaven and you're going to go to your house. I'm going to go to mine and we're going to say, wow, Wish I had as many trophies as Jeremy. No,
look at my trophy room.
No, me and you'll probably have like 2 or 3. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
We'll have one like we have back here.
Yeah, exactly. We need more trophies in our trophy room.
Golly.
But here's what we're going to do with those trophies. We're going to take those trophies and we're going to present them to Jesus.
That's good.
It's like our gift to him and say, Lord, thank you. Lord, we worship you. We honor you. So we're from the trophy room, but Beau, you and I, we need to store up some more trophies.
We need to store up some more trophies. So yeah, we explained the trophy room thing. We're sitting here in the trophy room. We're hoping this trophy room is going to grow as the podcast grows.
That's right. Hey, can I just ask, guys, if you have awesome trophies that you'd like,
send them our way.
Send them our way. Send a little story with them.
We don't care what it is. It could be an animal. It could be a physical trophy that you won doing something.
Yeah,
or something. It'd be
just
super
something cool. Good story
with a story behind it. Hey, so we just had man camp a little bit ago, and what an amazing time.
Explain to guys what man camp is.
Yeah, so man camp here at Stonewater Church is an opportunity. We do it at a different location, okay, off site, off campus. It's a camp where men come together overnight. It's a 24-hour blitz. We spend the night and or come back home. You don't have to spend the night. It's just an incredible time to kind of exit life for a second, the busyness of work, the stress of the home, and really focus on our relationship with the Lord and press in and kind of look at what's going on. And we had over 700 men this year show up to this, and it was just an incredible time.
So what I like about man camp, it's like a timeout, 24-hour timeout from life to spend with God. And the other thing I like about man camp is it is a controlled culture. So right now, you and I, we are influenced by everything going on around us at man camp. It's pretty much like heaven's going to be. There's no distractions,
no TV.
Like we really can't hear from God.
Yeah,
and it's pretty awesome.
It's good, and also it gets other men around you. Mm-hmm. You know, and for at least 24 hours. You're kind of all sharing in the same similarities and the same focus in that time. You get to share hunting stories, but then you also get to share real life stuff about what's going on in your life. And we do really see a lot of lives change. Some incredible stories came out of this year. We might be able to dive in those later with some special guests that we have on the podcast, but just a really neat time. So next year, we're going to have it again in March. You men listening, be ready for man camp here in Texas. If you're outside of Texas, you're more than welcome to fly into it, but that's something we do here, and it really is an amazing time. John Peacock spoke this year. He's a pastor out of Chicago, and his whole message was about staying ready. And I sent out an email today, actually, to the men of Man Camp, and we're in Easter week this week. And I feel like anytime we press in or anytime we point to the cross, the enemy's right there to fight against it. And so this week especially, just encouraging the men to stay ready.
Yeah, that's it's really important, especially it seems like the enemy attacks this week. So there's been a lot of like tragedy around us this week. There's been just crazy stuff happening, but it just reminds me of there's a lot of crap and brokenness in this world. Yeah. And so that's what pushes us to Easter. So
brokenness, we might go a whole podcast about brokenness in the future, because I think that was one of my barriers with my relationship with the Lord in my past, is knowing how broken I am. I mean, nobody knows themselves better than themselves. Mm-hmm. And you know how corrupt your mind is, or your walk's been, or things you've done in your past. And that really held me back for a lot of years with confidence and walking in to my relationship with the Lord. So we'll get into that in some other podcast about manly brokenness and how that can keep us from pressing in. But hey, me and you, our relationship, I moved to Texas in 2018 and bought a ranch out here and started raising, training bucking bulls for the PBR. And it was awesome. You know, we'll get into that experience later, but I really wanted to talk about kind of our relationship and how it started, because a lot of people don't know this story. They've heard the story about my son passing away, and then all of a sudden here I am at a church and working for the church. But before that time, even I don't even know. I don't think. I want to ask you, like, where did you hear of me and why did you press into me? Because it started a relationship that we had, a discipleship walk that we kind of had that I didn't even know was happening at the time.
Yeah. So I remember you coming to the church. I don't exactly remember how how I met you. I remember you and Alicia being at 101. I remember y'all getting connected to the church. I remember you coming up and you and Alicia shared a story, or maybe you shared a story at a staff meeting one day.
Yeah, I said it on leadership meeting.
And after that meeting, you'd mentioned something about discipleship and wanting to grow deeper in your faith. And I remember asking you out in the parking lot, say, hey, are you real serious about that? Like, do you really want to get serious about your faith? And you seem to like, yeah, I'm really interested.
I think so.
I think so.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So after that, there's a couple other guys, I think 3 other guys in the church that were interested in just kind of moving forward in their relationship with God. And I just formed a group out of us. I said, hey guys, let's meet at Beau's. You open up your ranch, and we would meet. I don't remember how often we were meeting. It was a couple times a month or so.
Yeah, I think it was once a week or once every other week, but I thought it was like every Thursday.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what day it was. But here's what happened. So we started meeting. We'd sometimes meet at your ranch, sometimes meet at the office. We'd have campfire sometimes, but we just talk about God stuff. We talk about what's going on in your life. We talk about the enemy, how the enemy's very real in our life, how the enemy tries to hijack different things in our life. We just got real in relationship with each other. We got to learn what each of us struggle with, what was kind of our Achilles heel, or pet sin that we'd run to. And man, I feel like during that time, God was establishing just a great relationship between us that we needed whenever you went through the hard time.
Yeah, and I did end up going through a hard time. And I don't know if I think you do remember, but when Beau Bear did pass away, you were gone in that time. And I haven't
at a stock show.
Yeah, I haven't told, I think Houston or something, or San Antonio. I haven't told you this, but like, because of our relationship and where it got, I was like, where is Jeremy? You know, like you'd gotten to that point in my life where, especially in a moment like that, but man, afterwards you were definitely there. And so it led, I mean, honestly, that relationship helped walk me through some really hard times in my life. And now I know God's done amazing work in my heart through that time as well. But he definitely used you to steward that. And so,
well, dude, thank you. But here's what, like, I see with guys is, so all of us want somebody there in the hard times of life, but you don't you get closer in the hard times of life, but you need to establish that relationship before the hard time gets there. That's why we talk a lot about groups and having guys around you, because the hard time's gonna come. Like, for every one of us, the hard time's gonna come. You know, I hope and pray I don't have a test like you had. Like, that's just terrible. My tests have looked different. You know, it looks like my wife with anxiety and depression. It looks like kids with illnesses and things like that, but nothing like you. But in those times, I needed guys around me that would just kind of sit with me, and it's like sitting in the suck.
Yeah,
you got to have some guys that will sit
in the suck. Hey, you talk about guys around you, and it's like the verse that iron sharpens irons, just like one man sharpens another. And I feel like some guys listening might say they have some guys around them. I know if I was listening a few years ago, I would say I had some guys around me, but some of those guys were not great in my life to be around. Does that make sense? And they were actually anchors. They're holding me back. They were taking me away from my wife. They were not allowing me to be the father I should be. It was leading me to maybe some struggles in my life. So I just want to make that clear of like the men, when you say guys.
It's guys, like it's the men in your life that's going to move you closer to Jesus. All right. So I wasn't there.
Is that like real, like pastors? Do I need a pastor in my life?
No, it's just any guy. Any guy that's going to move you closer to Jesus.
What does that look like? Like, for guys that don't know, like, move you closer to Jesus. I just want to be as real as possible here. Like, if I were to hear that. So
here's what it looks like. I got a guy named Philip. Okay. Philip Philip Howard Electric. There you go, Glen Rose. So Philip, one day I was in a men group, and I just kind of opened up and just kind of shared some struggles I was having that day. And nobody said anything to me. Like, it's like I shared a struggle and everybody just kind of got quiet. And then I walked out of group and Philip was in the parking lot. He's like, hey, man, I noticed you shared some stuff. I just want you to know today I'm going to pray for you all day. And what's some specific things I can pray? Philip's not a pastor. I mean, he's an electrician.
Yeah.
But he's a dude that was moving me closer to Jesus. He wasn't going to just let me, I dump all over the group, and he's not going to let me just walk away. Like, he's going to press into me. It's guys that aren't afraid to press into you. So you said iron sharpens iron. What happens when iron sharpens iron? There's sparks, right?
It's rough, yeah.
So you got to press in. So guys that in your life that's willing to press in, that's willing to ask you hard questions. That's what I mean. Yeah. And oftentimes the more real, the better. You know, it's guys. It's almost like they're willing to cuss at you in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
It's guys that are willing to look at you and say, "What the hell are you doing, man? You love the Lord. Why are you acting this way?"
That's good. You need that.
Yeah, it's that type of
that leads us into our topic today. You know, this is a leadership podcast, so we want to kind of speak leadership and how we lead, how we think. And today we're going to talk about leading from a here and now mindset, or do we lead from a future focused mindset, kind of the long game mindset?
Yeah. So what do you mean by that? Explain.
So what I mean by that is if you look at your life and how you're leading it, do you naturally bend towards the present time? Like right now, what I'm doing, are you reactionary? Are you just focused on the situation you're in right now, and that's where you lead from? Or is there a goal? Is there a plan? Is there a long-term deal that directs your here and now process? And so I tend to lead in a future focus. So I'm a big picture kind of guy, and I sometimes miss the here and now opportunities.
So I would say it depends on my relationship. Okay. So kids, I'm playing the long game. I'm leading by viewing it like a marathon. Okay.
Yeah.
Church, I kind of view church like a marathon. Yeah, there's a million fires that need to be put out, but hey, what's the long haul? What are we going towards? But here's what happens in my marriage. I'm very much here now. I'm very much reactionary, and I don't know why I do that. But in marriage, it's almost like I'm more emotional, or I don't know if maybe I'm more insecure.
Is that because you're not sure about like the long game in that? Like what's the long game plan for the marriage?
Yeah. So I guess I'm sure about the long game. I guess it's just I don't know.
Well, I don't know if I am. Like now that you say that, I'm thinking like, okay, what is my long, like when we're at two different places right now in life. So I've got a 12-year-old daughter, 10-year-old boy, 8-year-old boy.
And I'm about to be an empty nester.
Yeah. Hudson's graduating high school this year, and you have one in college. Jenna's in college right now. So you're about to be an empty nester. My focus right now is getting my kids to that stage. I don't know if in my marriage, I'm really good in business or any other opportunities to have a big plan. But now that you say that and thinking about my own marriage, I don't know what my big plan is. I guess to be healthy and love my wife, that when we get to that time, we can go have fun together and we love each other.
So it's being proactive versus reactive. Okay. So there's been different times in my marriage that I'm proactive so for instance, me and Misty, once a year, we'll have like a vision retreat where we're casting like we're praying, we're asking God, what do you want us to do this year? So this past December, we talked about this year that we're in right now and some things that we wanted to accomplish this year. So we're living out that it's being proactive versus there's been some years we're just reacting to things. And oftentimes when we're reacting, that's when emotions come up. So that's just not marriage. It's also parenting.
Man, can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a story. So I struggle as a dad at reactions. At least I can say I struggled. I mean, the Lord's done a lot with me over the last 3 years, and it's really shaping who I am in other areas. But in the past, real reactionary. Right now, I'm going to spank your butt. I'm going to put you in your room.
You're blowing up,
and I'm going to yell at you. You know, I mean, my voice is loud already. I can get really emotional with my hands and my voice. And well, the Lord's worked on me, thankfully. This 2 weekends ago on a Sunday, this group, okay, we have groups here at Stonewater Church. They get together with multiple groups. This was a home group. This was a group that met in a house, and there was 5 couples, so 10 people and a bunch of kids. They invited us to come to their house. And we really weren't sure why they invited us, but we were happy to come.
Yeah,
like happy to sit there. We knew a couple of the couples, but we had no clue who 3 of the couples were.
Yeah.
And so we show up to this house. I don't know why we're there. And our kids go in the backyard. All the kids are in the backyard. It's really hot this day, and they like literally lock them out. And
that's old school stuff.
Yeah, yeah. They lock them out. I mean, the kids are banging on the window. Yeah. I'm thirsty. And they're like, stay outside. And we're talking inside. And I finally get to the point where I feel like I should say something in this group. And I'm talking, and I see this lady on the couch, and she like sits up, and she looks outside, and I'm like, my back's turned to where she's looking. I don't know. And then all she goes, oh my God. And I turn around, and my boys are going to town on each other with their fists. They are fighting in the backyard. And I'm a pastor sitting in on this group, and my boys are throwing blows. My daughter's stepping in between them, getting hit. She's like, ah. And I go running outside, right? My youngest son, so I have a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old boy. My youngest son has a brick in his hand.
Oh no.
And here
we're talking Cain and Abel stuff.
Yeah, there's like 10 kids that they're doing all this in front of.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I say that story to say.
So what did you do? Yeah, what'd you do?
Like in the past, I was super embarrassed. Okay, so I'm not going to deny the emotions I felt. Super embarrassed. Oh, this was no joke. I'm not trying to save face. This was the first time they've fought. Like they've gotten in verbal fights or frustrated each other verbally. They've never fought. And there's actually been times in the house where I've tried to encourage it. Like, hey, why don't you guys just fight already? Like your boys, like do something about it or stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, they picked the wrong time to finally do something about it. They're in church group with I don't know who. I'm sitting in, they're fighting in the backyard.
Yeah.
So I pull them off to the side. I go, this is going to end right here and now. Right. But I totally level-headed, talked to them. And then later I got to speak to them on the way home. This was about 20 minutes from our house. So instead of in the past, I probably would have blown them up in the car, berated them, all this stuff, and created fear almost in between us. I got to speak into them, and I got to tell Hudson, you know, what I see in him. Like, that's out of character because this is who you are. And James, same thing. And I mean, when we got home, I took everything away from them that they've ever owned. So they still got punished, right?
Yeah.
And then the next day, the next morning before they went to school, we gathered up as a family. We prayed with each other. And what I did, it wasn't just dad praying. I kind of assigned roles of how we're going to pray. I set it up. Yeah. So here's a little coaching tip. So I said, hey guys, this is how this is going to go. We're going to hold hands. Dad's going to open up in prayer. Then I'm going to pray for Kinsey. Kinsey, I want you to pray for your brothers. And then James, I want you to pray for Hudson. And Hudson, I want you to pray for James. And you're not just going to pray for each other, but you're going to say out loud what you see in them and how God's created them. So here they were the night before, sweating, pissed, going to blows, wanting to hit each other with bricks. And the next morning they're praying for each other. And so I just feel like I'm able to have a goal now that I want for my boys. Like in the future, I want them to grow up to be good young men of God, right? Of faith. And so in the here and now, I can lead by teaching, by examples, by coaching into them, and not just be pissed at them.
So let's break down what you just did. Okay, so I'm gonna give you A+ on parenting. All right, man, that was awesome.
That's not I'm a different person now.
Okay, but still, like, I know you don't always get it right, but you get an A+ that day. So here's what you did: you spoke into the here and now, but you spoke into the here and now with a long game perspective. Like you knew you were coaching for the long game. You wasn't just trying to curve a behavior. You were trying to shape a heart. And that's what you were doing. You're shaping. I would have loved to heard their prayers. Okay?
Yeah. It was so funny. Well, and Hudson, my youngest one, he was still pissed.
Yeah.
Like you can see it on his face. He didn't like his brother in that time.
Well,
he woke up still upset because I think he's been picked on, right? He's the younger one. Yeah. And so he's like, hey, I had the right. Like, Dad, you should have let me hit him with the brick, right?
Yeah.
And here I'm making him pray. So he didn't want to. But it was really good. It was really good.
A+, Dad.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
plus.
Like so talk just a hair about your kids. So,
Yeah.
what's your game plan, or what was your game plan? Because here they are going off to college.
Dude, my kids have far exceeded my expectations. You made me cry. I wasn't gonna cry. Yeah, my kids, like, by grace of God, my kids have turned out better, and I just pray that they continue down the road they are than what I could have ever planned. Jenna's in college right now. She's a sophomore, and she's walking with the Lord. She's involved in Bible study groups. Like, she's got just a pure heart. My son Hudson, he's a leader. He's strong. He's inside and out. Like, he's trying his best to walk with the Lord. And I mean, that's just hard for an 18-year-old boy with all this. Like, you remember being 18 years old and trying to walk, like,
it wasn't good.
And he's like really he's not perfect, but dang, he's
a leader.
He's a leader. I'm proud of him. So yeah, I'm proud of my kids.
Like, what are some things you did as a dad? Like, if we can give some tools, so I think what we're saying is it's good to have both, right?
Yeah.
Like, we gotta have a future focus, but we gotta make sure we're doing the right things in the here and now. And so, like, as a parent, like as a dad, how did you have the long game focus with your kids? Because here they are getting towards the end of the long game in your house. What steps did you do in the here and now?
So here's what I did first. I pray, God, what's your plan for my kids? See, most dads, we don't ever pray that prayer because we have plans for our kids. Okay. Think about it. Like, I got plans for you, kid. You're going to be this, you're going to be that, you're going to be this, you're going to be that.
You said that. I'm like, I need to recheck.
So like, think about it. The Bible says to train up a kid in the way he should go. When he's old, he'll not depart from it. Train up a kid in the way, another translation, way he's bent, the way she's bent. So our kids are just bent differently. I wanted my daughter to be an all-star volleyball player, basketball player. Like, that's what was on my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to teach her how to throw a football. She's going to be amazing athlete. And that's just not how God wired her.
Yeah.
She is like the perfect example. She's just like her mom. She's creative, but she's logical as well. She's really competitive, but she doesn't necessarily like sports. And that blew my brain. Like, how can you be competitive and not like sports? So, like, God had to, like, shape that and, like, show me that and start raising her in that way. So it's really asking God, what do you have for these kids? Like, my son Hudson, he's a leader. I saw it when he was a little guy. So I felt responsible to continue. Like, how can I shape him as a leader? I see him when he's in kindergarten, we'd walk through Emma Robertson Elementary School, and all the little kids would go, hey, that's Hudson. That's Hudson. That's Hudson. Yeah. That's Hudson. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, how? Like, and but I realized at kindergarten, like, other leading kids, Jenna was just different. So I couldn't put, and that's another mistake we make as parents, is we try to put, if one kid has a success in something, we try to make the other kid
live up to that.
Yeah.
Same standard.
And they're different. Me and Joey are very different.
Yeah.
We're very similar, but we're also very different. So, I think that, God, what's your plan for my kid? And then
Joey is Jeremy's brother, by the way.
Yeah, Joey's my brother. So, God, what's your plan for my kid? Just start there and start asking God, what's that? And then just living out, being proactive, like having a plan. You have a plan for working out.
Yeah.
You have a plan for your job.
Yeah.
Why not have a plan for parenting?
Yeah, that's good. So if we relate this to our faith, future focus is looking at eternity. Yep. Like, that's promised to us. So eternity, here and now are things we have to do now. So I feel like me and my walk with the Lord was I use eternity as an excuse for what I was doing.
Okay.
So I'm saved and I know this is promised to me now, right? Because that's what we say when you give your life to the Lord. So it's okay if I'm walking the way I'm walking, because I'll just get forgiveness for it. So what's your advice if
so you were missing purpose now. So a lot of times when we think of salvation, we think of salvation being I'm saved for the purpose of going to heaven. Yeah, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. You're also saved for a purpose now. Like God has a kingdom purpose for you now. God has a kingdom purpose for your kids now. God wants to do something in your kids' life that's going to bring about his kingdom in this world in just a tremendous way. Think of it as like he puts a kingdom dream in every one of us. So like as a dad, like our job is to figure out, okay, God, what's that kingdom purpose you have in my child? And how do I bring that out?
How do I feed it?
So if you think of your own kids, okay, what's James like? What's his heart like?
James has probably got the biggest heart of our kids. So he really cares about people and things going on around him. He cares so much. He's an athlete, loves sports.
So I remember even like sports, like he would be anxious about things and like he wants to be good at it. He wants to perform. And so if I'm guessing, I bet God has some kind of purpose related to caring for people and looking after people. And like
that's good.
Something like you need to identify that in James and so try to put him around older guys like that are doing
that bring that out. That's good.
That are examples.
So in closing, if we were to give a tool to a guy right now about leading for a kingdom purpose, but doing the here and now, what would we say to him? Like, what would you say to him about living out our purpose fulfilled for Jesus?
Yeah. So you talking in parenting, you talking in
just like, as a man, like I'm sitting in my truck right now, I'm listening to this and I don't get any of this. I'm just a little off. Like, I'm angry. I deal with anger. I have a goal, but I'm not getting anywhere closer to it. I don't know what to do. Like, what's a step I could take today?
Yep. So here's I want to encourage you to pray 2 prayers and listen. Okay. These are prayers I've been praying this year. God, what do you want me to know? And then God, what do you want me to do? Those 2 prayers have been changing my life. Literally. Like, I'm not just saying that because I'm preacher, he's saying to pray. No, like I really believe God will speak to you.
What do you want me to?
What do you want me to know?
No.
And what do you want me to do? So take that to parenting. God, I got this kid. I don't know what the heck to do with him. What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do?
That's good. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this first podcast. We'll have another one next week. The point of this podcast, we want to be real. We believe real leaders have real impact. And so we want to be real with you. And so go out there, be real with your kids, be real with your wife, be real with yourself as you listen to this. Have a kingdom purpose, but do things now to get to that direction. Had fun, Jeremy. That was a good.
Me too, Beau. All right. First one under the belt.
Peace out.